Here are my top 5 favourite budget players to buy right now in FPL. These guys are definitely cheap beasts. Some of them feature in every other draft of mine, and some of them I'm a little bit undecided on. Let's take a look. Welcome to today's video where I'm going to discuss my top 5 favourite budget players in FPL right now. Some of these players I keep going to each single draft I make, and some of them I'm a little bit undecided on, but I think could be really brilliant going into the FPL season. Now, just before we get into the first player, I always like to mention, if you aren't subscribed to the channel just yet, go ahead and click that sub button. I make videos to help you guys in FPL, and by you guys, just clicking that little red button helps me out a massive amount, so I really do appreciate it. You guys smashed the like goal on the last video, so we're going to set it again at 20 likes for today's video. Let's see if we can hit that. But starting off with player number 1 here, we've got Mickey van der Ven. Now, if you've watched some of my other content, you'll notice that Mickey van der Ven hasn't left my team since the launch of the game. I don't know if it's just sort of attachment issues or what, but I think he could be genuinely fantastic in FPL this season. I don't know what it is. I think Thomas Frank can do unbelievable things with a football team. We've seen that at Brentford. Can he do the same with a team with more quality, with a team with the history of Tottenham and sort of this sort of big six kind of title they get put on them? Can he do it there? I think he can. I think he can change Tottenham from that really bottom half team to maybe top half of the table. We'll see what happens. But with Mickey van der Ven, he's got great fixtures. Apart from game week 2, he's got really solid fixtures across the board. And I really rate that. That's what you need in someone you're picking for game week 1. The only issue is he is injury prone. We've seen a lot of injuries from him, since he's joined the Premier League, to be honest with you. So maybe that's an issue when it comes to his playing minutes. Maybe we can see Danzo come in for Mickey van der Ven occasionally. Maybe that's going to put me off him as an asset completely. But I think, playing in pre-season, he seems fit. Thomas Frank's going to play his best players, and I think Mickey van der Ven has real quality, and he's definitely going to be in that conversation. So we'll see what happens, but overall, Mickey van der Ven still has not left a single one of my FPL drafts. Now, I thought I'd bring you one which I'm a bit undecided about. We've got Reinders, Manchester City's new midfield signing, and he is a really interesting one because we can all instantly look at him and go, Pep Roulette, I'm not going to choose him, which is completely fine, and I'm kind of in the same boat. That's why I've got a big cross next to Pep Roulette there. But if we look at how he performed last season in Serie A, 10 goals, 4 assists, that's brilliant, especially from his position. Quite attacking, likes to get a lot of shots away, which I think is going to be beaten out of him a little bit by Pep, but he's super attacking, and maybe we see that at City. Maybe we see the same Reinders or a similar Reinders that was in the Serie A coming to City. I'm not too sure. I don't think so, because Pep's going to beat a lot of those sort of bad qualities that Pep doesn't like in his players out of them. But overall, I think with the new defensive contribution system and the existing way of scoring points, we need a player that can not only attack, score goals, get assists. We also need a player that has good CBI RT if they're a midfielder. And Reinders kind of fits both of those right now looking at him. So you've got 8.47 CBI RT per 90 last season. Actually, it wasn't last season. It's a larger data pool than that. But overall, in his playing career, I believe that's his kind of average CBI RT, which is clearances, blocks, interceptions, ball recoveries, and tackles. So yeah, having that balance of attacking and defensive contributions is key. And the fixtures there are pretty decent. I think maybe we can expect defensive contribution points in some of those more difficult fixtures. When you come up against Tottenham, when you play the derby against Manchester United at home, maybe Arsenal fixture as well. So yeah, I think this is the player I'm undecided on. I have to be really honest. I'm not quite sure, but he's one of my favourite differentials because of the potential he has to be an amazing pick, in my opinion. But yeah, Reinders, still undecided on, but I think he could be great. It wouldn't be an FPL Mugs video without me talking about a Sunderland player. We're now in the Premier League and I can choose my favourite players. And Simon Adingra, our new signing on that left wing, I think could be fantastic to start the season with. We've got great opening fixtures. West Ham at home, Burnley away, Brentford at home. For me, coming out of these 3 games with hopefully 4 points will help us in the season. But as an FPL asset, 5.5 million for Simon Adingra. Look, Sunderland have signed him for not massive money, but big money. It's a big signing for us. He's going to get good minutes. Our other left winger, Romain Mundle, who did fantastic for us in the Championship, has had a bit of a surgery. He came off the pre-season camp injured. So Simon Adingra technically is our only left winger right now. We have Enzo Lefebvre who can play in that position, and maybe we see that here and there. But Simon Adingra is going to be that left-sided player for the majority of this Premier League season. Romain Mundle, when he's back fit, might steal a few minutes here and there, but this guy's fantastic for me. The only downside with picking a player like Adingra is obviously he's new to the Premier League side of Sunderland, you know, a new system. He has to learn how we want to play, and of course Sunderland themselves are a new Premier League side, so yeah, a lot of unfamiliarities with the league and the team. Maybe that causes sort of a rough start to the Premier League, but overall for me, you're paying 5.5 for a pretty much proven player. I think at Brighton, if he got a few more minutes under his belt, which he sadly didn't have access to because of the amount of options Brighton had, but when he played, he was fantastic. I believe it was 2 seasons ago, I picked him as the differential. He did unbelievable for me. He was so low owned. He just kept doing goals and he was really great. And maybe there's a bit of nostalgia there with me suggesting he's one of my favourite players at that budget price. But yeah, Simon Adingra for me, playing for Sunderland. I'm going to be considering him, and he's in a lot of my drafts lately. Now, Chris Richards is a player that I've only just kind of stumbled on. He's sort of a player that no one really is picking at 0.5% ownership. Of course, 4.5 price tag, playing for Palace. I think he could be slightly underrated as of now. You've got, of course, hard fixtures across the board, but I'll explain why that could be a good thing in just a second. Of course, you've got good fixtures in Form 5 for, you know, rotating in for maybe Arsenal players or Liverpool players when they have sort of difficult fixtures here and there. His CBIT, his clearances, blocks, interceptions and tackles per 90 are through the roof at 10.6. That's fantastic. You only need 10 to get those 2 extra points. That, for me, that alone puts him as a decent asset. But when you understand that harder fixtures give you more potential to earn CBIT per game, those fixtures kind of then make sense for you to buy him. You know, game week 1 and game week 6, I probably would stay away from Chris Richards and not play him. He'd be a bench player. But game weeks 2, 3, 4 and 5, of course, you have then game week 2 and 3, which are more difficult fixtures, but you're going to have to put up more defensive actions to go ahead and win that football game. So against Forest and the likes of Aston Villa, that's what's going to happen, and hopefully that's when defensive contribution points can come into play. And for me, those 2 fixtures, you do have a small chance of that clean sheet potential. So having that mix of clean sheet and defensive contribution points is going to be really tricky to find. And I think Chris Richards could be a decent way to do it in the first few game weeks. Of course, very new to me, Chris Richards. I've only kind of just discovered him in the last 2 game weeks, 2 days as a potential option to start FPL with. But of course, games week 4 and 5, you're going to have maybe less defensive actions, but a higher chance of a clean sheet. So I think he could be decent. I think he really could be decent. I'm still a little bit undecided, similar to Reinders, but I think overall, looking at this, he's got good potential. Carlos Baleba is next at that 5 million price point. There aren't many options at 5 million that I'm really considering. There's really only Enzo Lefebvre and Granit Xhaka, both Sunderland players, but for me, those 2 are only the other options at 5 million I'm considering right now. But Baleba is featuring a lot in my teams where I've got a 4 in midfield rather than a 5. And for me, it's because you're going to get access to those defensive contribution points quite often. And I think with the hard fixture list that you've got initially over the first 6 games could help with that. If you're ever in need of a sort of rotational player who you can just throw in, who you think is going to get defensive contribution points pretty much any other game, I think Carlos Baleba could be that player. You've got sort of Fulham, Everton, City, Bournemouth, Spurs and Chelsea. Those are hard games on paper, and I think, you know, when you don't face an easy opposition, you have to put more defensive actions up. You have to. And Carlos Baleba is one of those players who's very high on ball recoveries compared to his other stats in that CBIRT. But yeah, I think he's great. I really do. I'm not too sure if I'll start the season with him. I think there could be other options that do emerge, but right now he's one of my favourites at that 5 million price point to include within my drafts to help me afford other really excellent players. I always outro my YouTube videos with a massive thank you to you guys at home for supporting the FPL Mugs YouTube channel. Of course, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you drop a like, and if you aren't yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button for future FPL videos and streams coming to you very, very soon. But that is everything for today's video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.